Answer this question as honestly as possible. Are you happy with the progress you've made this year? If you didn't instantly feel proud of your progress over the year, then there's something you can start doing from today to change how you feel in less than a month. I'm Salim, I'm a final year med student, and I've also done an undergrad and postgraduate degree. And over the past few years, I've been happy with the progress I made in my academic and personal life. But it wasn't always like that. Years went by where I wasn't really doing anything, even though on the outside, it seemed like I was making progress. But if I had known a few years ago what I know now, I would have put myself years ahead of where I am today. So I'll share 4 actionable tips that I use now that's helped me make real progress towards my goals this year, so that you can avoid the common mistakes I made a few years ago. And so first, I'll start with a personal story. So I said at the start that I've already done an undergrad and postgraduate degree, and normally when people find out that I've got 2 uni degrees and that I'll be a doctor soon, they automatically think that it's the accumulation of all of these years that gave me the knowledge, wisdom or skills that I have now. But when I look back to my first degree, the 3-year undergraduate degree, and really think about what I gained from it wasn't really that much. As far as the degree went, I gained some knowledge in pharmacology and the skills to become a pharmacologist, and made some natural development within myself as I went through university, but nothing particularly stood out to me from what I remember. Like I didn't make amazing progress at the gym, I didn't have this channel, I didn't make much progress with piano practice or tennis, and there was a pandemic, so I didn't socialize much either. And here's the thing, for a lot of people this is fine. Getting a first class honours degree as a qualification and the core knowledge and skills associated with it to then get a job is enough. But if you're watching my videos, chances are you want more. You don't just want to do the bare minimum academically. You don't want to passively take a backseat and only get on with what's been given to you. You want to do something that can help you stand out ahead of your competition, or you also want to work on personal goals outside of education. But this doesn't mean I'll tell you to do everything that comes your way or work 24/7 or go through this whole winter arc to magically change your entire life. Because if I could go back in time to my 18-year-old self, one piece of advice I would give is to at least start off by being an active bystander. And what do I mean by this? In this context, it means not being on the sidelines of your own life. It's instead about noticing opportunities that come your way and taking small intentional actions to move forwards. For example, during my first degree, there were a lot of workshops and events going on, but I didn't think they'd do much for me, so I didn't join them. But I remembered how a friend of mine would aim to go to at least one event a month, even if they weren't that interested. And as they kept this up for the 3 years, by the end of the degree, they built a network of people within the industry. And on top of that, they got into internships because of the people they got to know, and that then helped them land a job because of the experiences they've built. So this all happened as a direct result of just taking the effort to go to one event a month. So after seeing how being that tiny bit more active can make a massive difference, I was more proactive at med school in my first year. For example, at the start, I remember thinking that I'd like to become a surgeon. So I was more proactive this time, joining workshops to practice suturing and doing dissections, and spoke to and shadowed surgeons. And from this I realized it's actually not something I'd want to get into, which was a big decision to make that early on. But it's something I wouldn't have figured out for another year or 2 if I didn't take an active effort to do all of these smaller things. And I know I'm giving you quite a few examples, but it's because I want you to fully understand that it's simple. It's nothing complicated. So as a final example, I said that this isn't just for academics. It applies to your personal life too. And so for me a few years ago, a friend of mine suggested that we should play tennis or badminton once a week as part of a routine. And the easy thing would have been to say, I'll think about it, and then not bother, especially because I already go to the gym. But then I thought to myself, it doesn't take much planning or effort. It's a good bit of cardio on top of gym. It's a good chance to socialize with my friend. It's a good break from studying or doing work, and it's actually fun. So I hope you understand that the idea of being an active bystander isn't really about doing everything. It's about agreeing to go ahead with a few small opportunities that align with your goals. I hope you explore and understand what's important for you. So whenever you see any opportunities come up, spend a bit of time to think or write down the positive things you can gain from them and go ahead with them, instead of just ignoring them like I did in the past. And now before the next point, one thing I want to quickly mention is my one-to-one online coaching. I'm not going to talk about it for a minute to sell it to you. All I'll say is that I've had clients book calls with me to work on specific problems they were facing, ranging from trying to study more efficiently to wanting to work on their productivity issues, whether it was related to procrastination or time management. They found the calls to be a useful way to get personalized advice on their problems that they can work on as soon as the call is over. And this personalized advice is difficult to give with these YouTube videos. So if you have a problem you want fixed with advice tailored just for you, then check out my website linked in the description and book a call with me. And now for the next point, it works to complement the first point in this video of being an active bystander, and it deals this was a problem I've had, which you've probably experienced too. So I remember back when I started to take the initiative to do more, there were a lot of opportunities to get things done. And as the ball started rolling, I felt the motivation to do everything. And I'm sure you felt this at some point too. You had a plan to get things done and you felt a strong drive. And when you saw some progress being made, you kept pushing for more and more, even though the plan wasn't to do that much. And I think part of why we feel that push to do more is because this kind of action taking is what we're told to have. The idea that we should try to do as much as possible to reach our goals faster than everyone else. But for me, as time went by and I started doing more with this mindset, I found it difficult to maintain everything. Because on top of med school and joining related events, I aim to go to the gym almost every day, practice the piano, play tennis or badminton, study, socialize, work on personal goals, and do chores and everything in between every week. But I don't think I need to explain that that's a lot to be consistent with. So what happened was that I'd have stuck with doing these things for a month or two, but then the month after, I'd stop with one thing or another, and that kept happening over and over again. So the progress being made on any one thing in the end was quite slow. Like I remember I'd be stuck learning the same piano piece for months because I'd be so inconsistent. So to avoid making the same mistakes as I did so that you have consistent progress, be strategic with what you say yes to. One thing I realized at med school was that the students that do well aren't the ones that say yes to everything related to med school, or students that say yes to everything related to networking or socializing. The ones that make good progress are those that have the right balance between everything. And the best way to do this is to aim for a maximum of 1 or 2 commitments for each part of your life. For me, this would be having at least one thing for my physical or mental health, one for academics, one for socializing, another for work, and something as a personal interest. The important thing you need to do is list down what your commitments are and keep track of them as the days and weeks go by. I've been keeping track for about a year, and it helps me see where my time goes and if I need to redistribute time towards something else instead. It's also helped me see if I've gotten better at managing my time such that I can realistically think about doing more, because I can see whether I'd have the time and energy to go to the gym an extra day a week or meet up with friends more often. I noticed that people generally like having this type of visual representation, so seeing the progress you're making helps to maintain that motivation or keeps your discipline in check so that you keep a streak going with your commitments. It's again a very simple thing to do, but simple things work in the long term because they don't take much effort to do. And now you might have realized that the different points in this video link together, and it's because I like giving practical advice that actually makes sense. So I want to build on the previous point about being strategic with what you say yes to, because a common mistake people make, which I've made too, is that even though there's commitment to only a handful of things now, there isn't much clarity or sense of direction. And usually it's because people tend to be vague with their commitments, like saying they'd study for 4 hours as one commitment or go to the gym as another. But to guarantee consistent progress for these commitments, you need to ask yourself this question: what's one specific and small step I can take today to prioritize progress on my commitments? Asking yourself for a small step of action makes you think about what you can do in this moment, and that could be making your general commitment to studying something more specific, like doing 50 questions on a certain topic today, or making your commitment to gym being that you'd go 4 times a week for an hour each. When your goals are this specific, you'll know over time if what you're doing is enough or if you've started to slow down on making progress, and that makes it easier to reevaluate what you can do to maximize progress with your commitments. And now the final thing that can affect your progress towards your goals is something people often overlook and never prioritize. And to see if this affects you, I have a question. How often do you wake up feeling tired or low on energy? Most people wake up feeling this way, and it's a big problem to have because it affects your productivity for the rest of the day. I've had this problem too, and it led me to try a few different things over the past few months in the hopes that I'd wake up feeling full of energy and not tired. And in this video here, I'll talk about 3 things that instantly helped me with this. So if you want to take a more active role in improving your energy for a stress-free morning and productive day, then click the video to learn more.